Kat. So we're just going to talk a little bit about the concept of pain today. Could I just get your permission to share this with my clinical medicine class on our Blackboard site?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So how much do you know about the concept of pain? Do you have any recent experience with a lot of pain or an experience that stood out to you that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, when I was about 8 years old until I was 12, I had like serious muscle pain, like to a point where I couldn't sleep. I would have to sit down for long periods of time, couldn't even walk. So
Yeah, so it definitely affected you.
Mhm.
Did you ever see a doctor about that or get any like imaging?
No,
done
because
for it?
my mom always just thought it was growing pain.
Mhm.
So
So you kind of just
Yeah, just
ignored
brushed
it, but it definitely
Yeah.
affected you. Yeah. So one of the things we've been learning in class is that pain doesn't necessarily signal that you had tissue damage. So how does it still affect you at all today? The similar.
No,
muscle
it just
pain?
kind of went away slowly.
It eventually went away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you eventually like learned how to deal with the pain or something in your central nervous system. So you know, I don't know if you've learned in class about the central nervous system and the ways that your brain sends out signals through neurons. So one of the ways that the pain is interpreted by your brain. So something, if you do have damage at the tissue level, then your muscle may be receiving those signals from that stimulus, and it would send a message to your spinal cord, which would then decide whether that was important to basically send a message to the brain and warn that about. So if it's perceiving that you're in danger of injuring your muscle, so your muscle in your legs that you said were bothering you, it would take that signal, send it to the spinal cord. They would decide whether to send that to the brain, and if it does get up to the brain is going to take the context of where you are, what you're doing, and decide whether that's dangerous to your tissue or not. So your brain must have decided that it was significant enough to put in output to the rest of your tissues to make you experience pain. So basically, pain is an experience of your brain. It's what your brain is telling you. It is perceiving that you're in danger. So do you know? Oh my gosh, sorry. Why do you think you felt the pain? Does that make sense? Kind of. Were there specific activities? So you said walking was painful for you. So did you ever experience the pain like in another area? So you said that your legs were bothering you, but did it ever spread over time? Like as you went from 8 years old to 12 years old, did it ever spread to another area where you started to feel pain with even like smaller stimulus, I guess? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I would say the pain got better with time. It didn't necessarily move anywhere, but I mean, then my back started to hurt, so.
Really? Did it seem like it was along the same timeline of
Yeah,
your legs?
it was kind of like once that ended, my back started to hurt.
Yeah. So one of
Lower
the
back,
things.
specifically.
Okay. Yeah. So one of the things that can happen is once your brain receives those signals from the spinal cord, there's things in your brain called neurotags, and those start firing. And so once all of the neurotags, say the neurotags that are specific to making you experience pain in your legs, once those all start firing, if they fire consistently enough, they can eventually trigger neurotags that are right next to it, basically within the brain, to start firing too. So if they're firing all the time and they get super aggravated, then they might cause your back pain neurotags to start firing too, and that could start that
Wait, that's
to
actually
happen
crazy.
too. Yeah, so that could be a reason why you started to feel pain elsewhere. Did you notice any activities that caused pain in your back specifically, or was it just like a constant?
It was always like a constant pain, but if I was lifting things or playing volleyball in particular, it would like aggravate it a lot.
Yeah. Does it still bother you today at all when you play volleyball? Okay. And did you ever get that checked out?
Yeah, I went to the athletic trainer and they taught me hamstring stretches.
Okay.
They're like connected.
Yeah, so they taught you ways to manage the pain.
Mhm.
Yeah. So has it gotten better since then when you
Yeah.
found volleyball?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like every time my hamstrings are like super tight,
Mhm.
like the back pain gets worse.
So
But then when you
can
stretch,
them out. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's like a direct relation
Mhm.
between like the mechanical parts of your body. What about when you see someone else doing like a similar motion, like if one of the other hitters on the team or something goes to hit or like block, and if they were to like move their back in a weird way that sometimes could trigger your back
Mhm.
pain? I don't know if that ever happens to you.
It's actually really interesting because some people serve like with their back like
Mhm.
super arched.
Yeah.
I'm always like,
Yeah,
That
like
must hurt.
you almost like feel
Yeah.
the pain to a certain extent,
Mhm.
and that would be your brain taking in that context again. So if you see someone else doing a similar movement that might cause your back to hurt, your brain might see that and it wants to put out that pain output. That way it protects your tissues from doing that. So if it sees that movement, it might associate it, and it basically sends a signal to you to not replicate the same
Mhm.
movement. Yeah. Do you know anything about how exercise helps pain? I don't know.
no,
Like,
please tell me.
have you ever been to PT?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you do for your warm up?
So first, I think I laid down and like had my knees up, and then one leg was extended, and then I just had to focus on like activating my core and lifting.
Did you start
leg.
out with like any bike warm up or anything like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. But were you there for your back? Or?
Yeah, I was there for my back.
Okay. So did you ever wonder like why you were warming up on the bike?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is like a huge impact of global exercise. So exercise, even just getting your heart rate up, even though it's not directly related to your back. So when you're pedaling with your legs, you're not really moving your back or anything. But getting your heart rate up and getting your blood pumping just gets things to move along and will help to desensitize the pain receptors that are in your back. So when you get global exercise throughout your body, it can help to target the specific pain receptors in your back, and that's just basically coming from your brain, and it's called descending inhibition, and it'll basically desensitize those receptors. So when you're doing your exercises, they won't be as painful because your brain won't have that output of pain.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for talking to me
Yeah,
about
thank
pain.
you.
Yeah.